coffee. Welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also administer two closed Facebook groups for roadies. One's called The Backstage Pass, and the other is Death by Loadout. Come and check us out. They're really good. Tonight, I'm sitting here with my good friend, Kyle Thomas, our co-host. How are you tonight, brother?
Not too bad. How about yourself, big dog?
Okay, so I got this job, and I get to talk to people that I really care about and respect, and hang out and then play with a bunch of toys, while occasionally threatening people with knives. So
no, you do that often.
So basically, I'm really fucking good. I'm doing well. I couldn't really be doing much better. Talk to me about, and you said you're well, of course.
Oh, yes, very well.
We've been keeping you busy this week.
You have. I've been here every day.
Every single day, and thank you for it. We're making changes around and researching things that are coming up, committing to some things that are coming up. You know what I'm talking about. You want to talk about it? AJ Fardella has brought us in on this. Steve Fitzgerald, some other folks.
We have an event called, they have an event called Red Alert that's going on that was implemented in the UK. They had something like 700 buildings involved where they illuminated it in red.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
Yeah, but it was to shine light on our industry and all the people that are out of a job right now. You know, it's pretty outstanding that this Restart Act that's going through Congress right now needs to be structured in a way that is not only heard, but people in our industry are contributing to in a positive light. So AJ has set up a coalition that is going to do a march with empty cases and potentially have something upwards of 1,500 buildings illuminated across the country.
Damn high. Go big.
Definitely looking forward to it. I also got the comments figured out, so now we can respond to our group live.
Is this a reference to last week? We had some trouble with getting to the comments?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
So it's... we got a message in from Greg Shine last week about what mics we use. The one on the desk is a Heil PR40, and we have lav mics. They're just 185s.
Straight up 185s.
That's our setup. I'll continue to stay live with the chat, so if you guys have any questions today, feel free to chime in, and I'll try to yell them out during the show at some point.
Yeah, that's very nice of you. AJ, good friend of ours, friend of the show, also, he's always got his hands in a lot of pies. You know, it's the production
very busy
manager in him, you know, he's that guy, he's the alpha. And he also is talking about, and has been for quite some time, about something along the lines of a Roadie Hall of Fame. You know, the old school heads. You know, we're losing a lot of people lately, and it's making us appreciate that these people exist, made an impact on this business that is amazing. Really, because of them, we are we. And so I thought that was something that was interesting, and hopefully we'll start rolling out the nomination list so the general public through our pages and our show can maybe vote on who should be inducted, how we should go about it.
Yeah, it's a little more of like a bare bones Pernelli, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more for the roadie.
It's totally for the roadie, 100%. You know, somebody's got to look out for us. And AJ's a great, you know, figurehead going forward for that, and idea man, and you know his Rolodex is ridiculous, so you can pretty much call anybody. So I've already committed to doing the case roll with him in our shop and our people, and
yeah, I posted up his email at least in the chat, so if anybody wants to get involved, please send him an email.
You shared that?
I did, yep.
Fantastic. And how's the Instagram thing going?
Instagram's going good, yeah. It's a slow build, right?
That's right.
But yeah, it's growing every day.
Are we going to go with that idea you had where we're going to push stuff up, some kind of new content, even if it's just a photo of...
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
You'll get something new.
Oh, goodness. All right, that's really good, because we have quite a little catalog of stuff coming from the build of the show, the evolution of the show, the looks, the changes.
Oh, we'll be sharing it over time. It'll be great.
In some kind of chronological order. So
I got a couple of embarrassing photos of you I'll throw in there too, don't worry.
I've warned you already about this. I have warned you. You will have fun with me in the internet for, I don't know, a couple of days, maybe it'll go viral. But the wound that will come from it's going to take a lot longer to heal. I'm just saying, when I finally catch you and carve up on you, you're gonna regret it. But I can't stop you. That one thing where you caught me in the bathroom, you want to be real careful. Okay? That was a private, special moment. Just having a private special moment. Listen, you know, I say this a lot because I'm lucky to be able to say it. It's never bullshit. It's not hyperbole. I mean this. We get good guests.
We sure do.
We are lucky enough to have been doing this for a while, to know amazing people. And, you know, tonight is like an extreme example of this fact. Extreme. There's nothing I'm going to say tonight that I don't mean from the heart, that that isn't 100% true, correct, and verifiable. I write a lot of these shows. I write all of them, and writing an introduction can be tricky sometimes. On this guest, I had to throw my hands up. I couldn't. I could, seriously, Greg. I was just like, you know, I could do the small thing. I'm going to do it a different way. This man was born and raised in the Bay Area. He has been in the business almost 44 years, 43 solid years, and
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. And this is what he's done. I'm going to tell you this. These are national and world tours. I'm just going to give you those, not the one-offs, not the shows on doing gigs on the Tonight Show or with David Letterman. No, I'm not going there. I'm going to tell you the one-offs. Here we go. You ready? This is the deal.
Give it to him.
I got to take my glasses off. You people are lucky right now to see my beautiful eyes. All right, here we go. Start out with Joan Baez, Mickey Hart, Grateful Dead, Survivor, Glenn Campbell, Starship and Night Ranger, Steve Miller, Kiss, Don Henley, Huey Lewis, Aerosmith, Poison, The Cult, Doobie Brothers, Foreigner, Boston, Collective Soul. I should get a drink. My mouth's drying out. There's just too much. Chicago, Ted Nugent, Tina Turner, TLC, Velvet Revolver. I'm asking him about that one because that had to be interesting. Rage Against the Machine, pretty much their whole life career. Creed, Bon Jovi, that's what I call him. Foo Fighters, ZZ Top, Van Halen, Van Hagar, and Van Halen. Both. He did them with Dave and with Sammy. Tool. Oh, shit. Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, and did 17 years with the Ozzfest people. He's the owner, operator, partner of Diablo Digital, and he's the sole proprietor of Martini Music LLC. His name is, he's the one, he's the only, let's get him out here, Greg Price. Mr. Greg Price.
Thank you so much.
How are you today, sir?
Really good.
Yep. And how?
Good to be here.
Yes, we really feel, I mean, me and you have a lot of contact. We're very lucky. Mm-hmm. I feel very lucky to do that. But I really am excited. You know, I know who you are, but we just do what we do and be us and don't think much on it. But this is a time to, like I always say, this show's not about me or him. It's about you and about the audience. Right. And this is a time to do a little Greg Price commercial. Okay. So how you handling the COVID? How's the house and the family? How's that going? Everything?
Just extraordinarily well. I want to think it's a watershed moment for a lot of people that have been excruciatingly busy their whole lives, and then all of a sudden it's slowed down a little bit, and it's a new discovery for so many things, and it's very positive, very positive.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Martha's doing well?
Martha's great.
Your lovely wife.
She's enjoying her time off as well. So
she would normally be out there working easily as much as you would
do. The viewers, Martha's a head wardrobe girl and
world class. Rolling Stones, Ozzy Osbourne. You know,
I met her on Ozzy's tour.
There you go. So we are going to do our best, hook, crook, or whatever.
Get her out here.
Kidnapping, something, to have her as a guest because she is fascinating. She is amazing at what she does, and I adore her. So we'll see what happens with that later. Let's talk real quickly because we could really go back to many years.
Right.
What got you into the business, our side of the backstage side? What was the thing? When did you I want to do that?
I was working in LA at a furniture store, and my brother was in LA recording, and they invited me to the studio, and as soon as I walked in, I knew right then and there.
Yeah.
It was, let's see, it was called Producer's Workshop in Hollywood. Val Garay was the engineer. Greg Ladani was this, yeah.
You're going back.
It was awesome. Yeah, and those two guys, I was hook, line, and sinker.
You just knew this was for you.
It just boom, that's it.
It's amazing what you've turned that moment into. Let's talk about Martini Music LLC. It's something you started in 1980. It's still now. What's the idea behind that?
Well,
That's really
sure,
your
sure,
solo
sure.
thing, right?
Well, once I started touring for business, if you will,
Yeah.
I had to have some kind of a business shell, if you will, a company to facilitate that, and that's what Martini Music turned into being.
And
It was a nickname that I got from the piano player in Pablo Cruz, Corey Larios, gave me the nickname Martini.
Why would you have done that?
So have we watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
So there
Nest?
was a time when the civilized, golf-playing, wine drinking Greg Price
Yes.
was a
No, I wasn't. I never really fell into drinking martinis.
It wasn't that. So was he talking about Martini, Danny DeVito character from my goodness.
Bingo.
Oh my goodness!
And for some
Actually, I
reason-
can kind of see that a little bit.
Well, think about this. Back in that day, we actually, crew people, roomed with band members.
That's right.
It was a thing. And I roomed with Corey a couple of times. And he's a wonderful person. And so he gave me the nickname, and it stuck. And all the gold records I got from Pablo Cruz, they say Greg Martini Price.
Oh, that's perfect.
And for years on
Yeah.
tour,
Yeah.
people only knew me by Martini.
No shit.
Tom Dowd called me Martini.
Even Tom.
Aside from Kid, he called me Martini.
Well, let's talk about Tom real
Yeah.
quick. Tom Dowd, those of you who don't know, think Layla, think Respect, Aretha Franklin. I mean, he's kind of a legend. He actually is a legend. He's
have to
a
think.
little bit of a national treasure.
He really he came from Atlantic Studios as an engineer, and yes, a legendary. Yes.
Yeah, and you spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah, so I was so fortunate to have internship under Tom
Yep.
and Bill Schnee.
Billy Snee. I have that in a note.
And if I know we throw around internships loosely in the modern era, but those two fellas totally set my boat asail in such a right direction.
It was kind of, how could you go wrong with those guys?
Well, you can always misunderstand. You know, being an intern can be pretty brutal,
That's true.
but I really learned so much from those two gentlemen.
Highly accomplished. I believe one was engineered Steely Dan.
Well, the engineering of Schnee is just absolutely legendary.
That's
In
right.
the analog era, he was maniacal.
Well, people still ring their PAs out to his work.
And then Tom, a producer genius
That's right.
in his way of working with the artists, getting the artists what he wanted or what they needed for their music they were recording.
Wow.
It's genius.
Yeah, it's because of people like that.
So I was very fortunate.
Yeah, you were well placed, well situated, and then they had. Sometimes you can see the diamond in the rough, and you want to put that time in, which we'll talk about. That's something you do. We'll talk about that a little later about
Okay.
your desire to pass on knowledge and to make sure the next breed.
Mentorship,
Mentorship.
very
We're going to get to that.
important. Yes.
Definitely. Let's quickly talk about your other company, which you formed. What led to the formation of Diablo Digital with Brad Maddox? I believe it was about 13 years ago.
14?
14 is it 14 now?
Yes.
Yeah, and Brad Maddox is another Russian guy, famous. He's been on the show. Amazing fucking cat. He is the co-owner with Gregory Price of Diablo Digital. It's a LLC or is it incorporated?
It's a corporation, yeah.
And well, what led you to come together?
Two things really. We were both Martini Music and Maddox Music Productions were getting involved in multi-track recording for live shows.
Okay.
The profile had come out, but before the Avid profile showed up, we had been doing this before. I saddled up Midas XL4s with recording. So I wanted to record since I've started engineering live shows. Brad's the same way. When we got to a certain point where we just needed to join forces to compile the supply and demand of multi-track recording on live shows, touring shows around the world.
Was this because I remember Brad saying you guys kind of did something out of a need that you had discovered that wasn't being met or fulfilled to your satisfaction on the road?
That is correct.
With the,
And he's-
at the times technology.
Yes, and he's absolutely correct. But once we both had perfected some machines on our own,
Yeah.
but once we became partners, the two of us together started making extraordinary products.
Kind of unstoppable, you two.
I don't want to say unstoppable, but we were very passionate. We're very invested in it to this day. I mean, we're living through a time right now where those people who don't have recorded material, they're looking for something to do. So,
That's true.
So the thing is that we're very passionate. We're not blind to the fact that technology is a runaway freight train, especially in the audio business. And things change over and over and over, and
That's right.
software, hardware, all of these things. So we stay close to the product and stay close to what our customers need and continue to innovate. And that's I think, been a positive for us.
It's fascinating that you guys you're like the modern Bill Putnam now.
That's a well said.
That's a really interesting analogy.
You use the word interesting. I don't think you liked it.
No, I like it. Well, I mean, okay, so look, we're both extreme students of the art form.
Yes.
We continue to research folks like Mr. Putnam. Oh my God, so you guys should read what Les Paul went through to record him and Mary, for instance. It's just
it's amazing.
And then with, the Beatles, it just goes on and on and on. For me, I just love that stuff. There's a little geekdom maybe still in my blood.
It's not. That's you're a little bit of a nerd. A little tiny.
I'm a little nerdy, yes.
Just a hint.
Just a little bit.
And in the best possible.
So it's
way.
it's a real healthy endeavor for us.
And let's not be too humble about what we're saying is they manufacture, create, and guarantee these Pro Tool rigs. Was 128 channel?
Right now, the format is 128 tracks at 96K, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be Pro Tools. It can be Reaper, Uendo, Waves Live, you name it. We want to give you what you want.
Well, let's give them an example of who trusts you into doing that. I know that the YouTube captures their shows on your gear. I know that Rolling Stones does. That some of the
U2.
Some of the biggest artists in the world, when they want to capture their show, they reach out to Diablo Digital. And I think that's very telling of the quality of the product and how well thought out and well realized it is.
The main story here is that we're very customer driven. We really want to give the customer what they want. We can consult with them and make their job easier.
Sure.
But our job is to make it bulletproof show after show after show
That's
on
right.
whatever platform they're on. Make it easy for the sound vendor to interface with them. And yeah, it's just a real good partnership in this little corner of the space where artists going forward, if they're not recording and capturing their video and their audio,
Very not well thought out. Yeah, no.
it's not. It's almost turned into a must now. And some of our artists are getting older. They may not. We want to give them the tools to save their genius on video.
Yeah, and Lord knows Diablo Digital has done that.
That's all we want, really.
You have realized your mission statement, and it's a phone call away to anybody out there.
There's another thing that's important,
which is,
and that's young men and women who are coming to our industry and who are going to be coming to our industry. These are the tools you use to make yourself the best producer, engineer you ever dreamed of becoming.
Oh, and we're going to get there. I want to go into more detail about that because your philosophy is unique, kind, and it's about the big pictures. It's about the long game, and I find it to be unique, and I would like to talk about that. I want to go into I think the audience tends to like some of the nerd stuff, some of the
Sure.
getting to know each other, that would develop the character real quick. But they really want to get to the rock shows, let's be honest.
Okay.
With the guy with your history, with the resume that you're sporting, it's pretty interesting. And so I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm not going to go chronologically. Talk to us about your 20 years spent with Black Sabbath.
God, what can I say? Just,
Phenomenal, right?
well, first of all, what a group of musicians
Yeah,
and amazing people.
that's right.
That's number one. Number two, so kind to me and giving me amazing creative license. Of course, there's a feel that you have to maintain, but they were so kind to me and allowed me to work with them in such a special way. So a life enduring experience for me. And I don't know what else to say. They're just amazing people.
A comment, we advertise this show across many platforms, and one of the comments that somebody said when they heard you were coming on the show, they said, "Oh my God, I've been to," and I knew exactly what they were talking about. "I've been to countless Ozzfest and endure the varying sound quality of all the bands throughout the night, and then Black Sabbath comes on." He said this. I'm not saying it. He said this, and all of a sudden it's the sound from God. And I'm like, yeah, it's that guy. That's the guy we're having on tonight, because that's what he does. Yeah, and it was a very kind.
Well, that's very nice.
I thought that was a very telling.
Well, just remember though, on the 17 Ozzfest that I did,
Yes.
I really wanted to bring the level of every single engineer. I don't care if they were on stage 3, stage 2, or my stage. I got up at 5 in the morning and went out to the opening stage to help those young men and women become better and taught them before daylight how to make their show sound better.
See, again, that's just, when I was coming up, it was not uncommon to guard your secret sauce, to be territorial about the board.
Not in my book.
Yeah, and well, first of all, it speaks to your character, and I know that Brad is somewhat similar in that Robert talked about that right from the gate, because that was what got him into it. He was doing an unrelated job to front a house, and time allowed, and he went around, and somebody encouraged him, and in that moment, he decided, I'm going to do what it takes to become one of the top guys in this, and 30 years later,
well, let's
he's
face
Robert's
it,
field.
not everyone can teach
That's true.
in a way that it resonates with the student.
Mm-hmm.
Robert is a genius at this.
He's
He's a
very good
master at that. So yeah, he's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and also another one of those.
That takes its own special skill.
Oh, no doubt about that.
And Robert Scoville, an amazing student of the art form,
Yes.
but also amazing student of how to teach, how to really get through to someone and help them understand.
His process is strong, and it comes from a very natural place, and the patience. He has a thing with patience. I've seen with some of the kids. We've been having him trained for.
Teaching is not easy.
No,
I mean,
no, it is not.
This isn't babysitting. No, we're really trying to teach, high level technology. That's like, we're out climbing Mount Everest with a hand pick and a rope. It's steep.
Yes, it is. Yes,
And
it is.
so, yeah, and even, I will be honest, it's challenging for me. As much as I want to teach everyone a way to find their own way,
Yeah.
it's hard to do. It's very difficult.
Yeah, that goes without saying. I want to jump over, and I love that last thing you did. You of course, were there at their last show, which I believe was in their hometown.
Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Black Sabbath.
The End.
The End, and
I recorded it, I mixed it, and with help with others, and posted it and made a movie out of it.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen this, it's a Black Sabbath. The End. The everything about it is amazing, from the video work, but the sound on it is impeccable. Like it's a master class in what you want to sound like with a band like that. It's fantastic, fascinating, and it was all him. I remember the day you
Not
came
all
in,
me, we had
you
help.
brought me the double disc for that.
Yes.
And you were so proud of it, and I was like, oh, I already knew it It was just
I was really proud of it, yes.
Yeah,
I am proud of it.
You should be. It was an excellent, excellent effort. I want to move over to a band that I've been lucky enough to interact with on a few occasions in a local way. Always found to be, depending on the night you caught them, interesting band, fantastic band, very unique band. You mixed Rage Against the Machine from 98 to 2007. Was there any... Did the nature of their being a little bit at the time, a little bit ahead of their time, a little bit super progressive, controversial, did you have any challenges with working with that band? And then as a follow-up, were you at 2000, the MTV Music Awards 2000 when Brad crashed the stage and climbed the palm tree?
No.
You didn't. You weren't. You didn't encourage that. That wasn't you out there daring anybody.
I don't think I was. I mean, I could have been there, but I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Rage Against the Machine. Oh my God.
Talk to me about them.
So these are a group of men that they hit the stage and they really put all of it in.
Yeah, they hit the gas when they come in.
They're all in. I think maybe my favorite performing band of all the bands you read on that list
Is
Rage.
no shit.
Those guys would just get up and just shred.
And
And it didn't matter what the venue was. It could have been a club or, you know, the Glen Ellen outdoor festival place outside of L.A.
Yeah.
packed to the rafters.
Yeah.
And I mean to tell you, the energy from the stage just peels out like a wave all the way to the back of the building.
Yeah, the whole room just starts bouncing.
Those guys are probably my favorite performers.
Wow, that is, with your history, and that is quite a statement. I
Brad,
always enjoyed their
Brad
live
Wilkes
work.
played on Black Sabbath album.
No shit, I was not aware of that. The bass
Tom-
player for Rage
That's
played on
right. Tom has played with Ozzy.
that.
But
I didn't know.
these guys, they really take care of business when they get on stage. There's no question what's going to happen.
Yeah, they're bringing it.
They're bringing it, and they do it night after night after night after
Yeah.
night. It's just,
Their consistency was kind of incredible.
it's an incredible band.
Yeah, really, really, really great. Moving over to another band that I've, in our careers, we don't always get to work with the bands that you love, the one that's in your CD player at home. That's not necessarily how this works. Sometimes you do. More often not, you work where the work is available. But again, another band that I strong feeling for, and also have dealt with personally. You did a national tour with Velvet Revolver.
Yes.
Talk to us about that. Now, we both know that Scott Weiland provided certain extra challenges occasionally, but was also, when he had the mic in front of him and his head was right, one of the best singers in rock and roll.
Sure.
What was your experience with Velvet Revolver?
First of all, I love Duff and Slash.
Yeah, right? They're great.
And I have
That particular.
a lot of history with the drummer, Matt Sorum.
From working with the Cult.
Well, Matt was playing with the Cult when Duff and Slash came to listen to him to see if he was they were listening. So they showed up at one of my gigs and he got the job. It was like that.
Wow. Well, he's an excellent, amazing drummer.
First
and a
of
good
all, another great band.
They are.
Regardless of what you read about and
Forget about
what
that.
you hear, when those guys got up on stage, they were doing it. And Scott, amazing.
Really great singer.
So think about it. I've worked with Scott,
Yeah.
Chris Cornell.
Yeah, that's right.
Both of those guys brought it every.
If you had
sing-
Lane Stanley on that list, then you would have had the trifecta of three of the greatest singers in rock and roll.
one of my most favorite rock singers of all time.
And all dead.
So I had no problem with them. I was brought to that tour when they were having issues with the mix. So I show up at rehearsal of a gig, at the show site. They're already on tour. They had already been on tour for a while, for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out there and do what I do and intermingled with them. And before you know it, it's sounding the way they want it, and we're having a great time.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So I had no problem with them. and honestly, really good players all the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. As technicians, nobody can take that away from them. You know, they've been known to be a little raucous in the more have fun way.
Sure.
And that was what I saw. And not all of them. You know, a couple in particular at the time.
Well,
But-
there's something really interesting about that style of vocalist, Scott, Chris, guys like that. It's amazing in a rock setting how they can perform that way and just really transcend that vocal quality.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough vocal quality. Not everybody can do it.
Well, plus there's the thing with all three that we're mentioning now, had also an ability to kind of control the audience, which is a
Of course.
critical aspect of being a
It
front
goes
man.
hand-
is-
it goes hand in
That's right, and to manipulate and control the audience to
Yeah.
get them to be with you, and when you're flowing between, you know, some of the slower, lighter stuff to the come out hard. He was a technician at the art of.
So
being a
those
front
guys, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing guys.
I'm glad that worked out so well. You worked with Van Halen. You've worked with Van Halen. You're still to this day. If they went out, you would technically.
I would hope so. Love Eddie and Alex. I just love those guys. Love
Yeah.
them.
Well, you did both. You did Van Halen, David Lee Roth, and you've done Van Halen, Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
Was there anything that had to change in your process going between the two? Was there differences?
Different pants or
Yeah, you're right, Kyle. I think it's just
So
a
what
different. It's a different music.
Yeah.
It's a little slightly different. I mean, you put a Dave song on, and it's clearly Dave,
Mm-hmm.
and it's clearly classic Van Halen.
That's right.
And then you put a Sammy song on, and it is what it is, and it doesn't take anything away from Van Halen.
No.
And it's just as great and just as powerful, and it's amazing. That's like two bands in one, if you think about it.
No doubt about that. Yeah.
In the modern era, again, amazing players,
Oh.
amazing people.
Any?
Just Edward Van Halen is I feel like he's a brother to me.
Wow, that close. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
he's really special.
There was a period there when he was a little. It was right after the split up with his lovely wife Valerie, where he
Well,
was a
look,
little
I
unapproachable.
think every human being goes through rough periods in
Sure,
their lives.
that's right.
But when you peel that back a little bit and you get to the real person,
Mm-hmm.
that's just one of the most loving, generous, amazing individuals I've ever worked with.
That's really great to hear. It's really great to hear, and I know they love you because you're still on the roster. A band that has always fascinated me because of their unique path that they carved for themselves, and that they're one of the, I believe, if not the longest continuous performing band in the Guinness Book as of today,
Really?
and that would be ZZ Top.
Oh,
You were out with ZZ. You did a national with them. What'd you think of? Now I know Billy. I've interacted with Billy in a recording setting. Actually, it's down City, and I know he can be a little particular about things. Dusty Rhodes and Billy Gibbons. How was that tour for you? How did you? Yeah, I know you got a story about Billy. Billy had some words with you about ideas. Can you remind us?
first of all, Billy Gibbons is a flat-out genius.
He's crazy.
Has anybody listened to his blues record that he dropped on his own?
Oh, I haven't.
You gotta get it.
Billy
It
Gibbons
is
blues
absolutely.
record. All right.
If you like blues,
I do.
again, an amazing student of the art form. And I don't know what to tell you. The one thing about Billy is I don't think he gets the credit for what amazing guitar player he is. I play a little guitar, and I picked his guitar up one day and played it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. I couldn't, it was like a wild animal.
Yeah.
I couldn't control it for a minute. So look,
His setup is very unique, though. The way he has his guitar set up.
I think the story you're going to get from me is every single band I've worked for, I may not have listened to their music time and time again as a youngster, but once I got working with them, I really dug deep into who they are, what they are, how their music feels, try to understand the feel and what their fan base feels when they go to see their music. And so, and the only criticism Billy had about my mix was he was absolutely right.
What was it?
Well, because there's a certain texture about his guitar
That's right.
that you have to respect, and you have to honor that. And you can't take a Zakk Wylde guitar tone and put it on Billy Gibbons.
That's not going to work.
No, that's not going to work.
Yes.
And so if you look at my background, which I'm sure Mr. Gibbons looked at my resume,
I believe he did.
and he said, wait a minute, that's not the guitar tone I want.
Yeah.
So that took some convincing. But he's a genius.
Yeah, and he's one hell of a sweet guy. Super down to earth.
He
Surprisingly down to earth.
he played me some I want to call it Houston blues. Just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary stuff. Extraordinary.
Another, I'd put him in the national treasure category.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's a special,
No doubt.
special guy.
He's
but also my God, the stamina of that band.
Kyle and I were talking about it before. I was on tour straight for about a year and 4 months with them.
I mean,
can you imagine that,
No, but
Vinny?
that's how they. Oh, I absolutely can. In the old days, the tours were considerably longer, way more dense. But that band is about putting asses in seats. That's where they've come from. They had this tour they did.
Little band from Texas.
Yeah.
Boy, they know how to work. They work.
They will put in the work. One tour they did, they came out with 24 trucks, and it was full of livestock. And it was they set up a petting zoo. They had bighorn steers, and if there was a thing, they had it. They brought the barbecue. They know how to keep care of their fans. They're really, I mean, it's a unique setup. They're a wonderful, wonderful band, and I think oftentimes is gone. They've been a little underrated in the larger musical picture. You know, I think people see them more as a regional act, a southern rock act, and they're everybody's rock.
Well, look, music styles and genres come and go, and popularity comes and goes with the teenagers and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, but in perspective, you're asking about ZZ Top, a national treasure.
National treasure.
Mr. Gibbons is a genius.
Well said, and I couldn't agree with you more. You mentioned something a minute ago. Yeah, and I wanted to nail you down on it. I'll get back to it. As it relates to Diablo Digital, do you have any current projects or upcoming projects in the works?
Well, we're both, Brad and I both have been mixing single songs for certain artists, right, in our studio. But in the bigger picture, post-COVID, I think all of us are really looking for another way to perpetuate what we do in either streaming or live show recording or in some shape or form. So, you know, one of the projects is right here in this building.
Right here in this building.
Right here in this building, SIP presents, and one of your last guests, Ray
Bertolino.
and his music. Brad's been mixing him and recording him and making records with him, and really good stuff. People should put an ear to it. And he's done the first show here from SIP Presents, which is a Diablo Digital partnership with SIP. And so, yeah. Now, this all takes work. I mean, we didn't grow up doing TV shows. Well, I've done a lot of TV shows, but it's a different genre. It's not a big stage in an arena and you just pull the trucks in and no, it's a little different.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been working on. But along that way, we're not losing sight of when our industry starts rolling again.
Yeah.
And that's going to be tough.
Well, you know, I know you're not used to what's happening right now. Technically, I remember one thing that fascinates me is how you mentioned, you know, when you go to work for a band, oftentimes you're not familiar with their music or almost intentionally or the larger feeling. And so part of your process to go be out with ZZ Top is to dig into it, get into the meat of the work, get into the background of the band.
Right.
What is the fan situation? And you had that going on because you were slated to be out this year on a world tour with Disturbed as their front guy.
That's right.
And so I know you were in here for, God, I don't even know how long, working. Because
Well, you saw me.
Yeah.
As soon as I was signed on to do it, I got the Pro Tools tracks and we brought them in the studio.
Yeah.
And went to work. That's what we do.
And
then
you really put the work in on that.
Well,
And I think that's kind of your
remember,
deal.
again, by the time I get called, people have been let go, engineers have come and gone, and now the artist is looking for something special.
Yeah.
Now, to give them something special, that takes some thought. That takes planning.
That takes some time.
That takes strategy. That takes me calling the lead singer and talking with him about how do we get to epic? How do we get there?
That's right.
Because we have to go together. I'm not going to walk through the epic gates by myself. No. You're kind of leading the way.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's a critically important process. I'm not sure everybody does it, but when you got the call that the tour had canceled, at that point, I think you'd put a couple weeks, it felt like, into it. And I know you brought me in many times to see if did this sound like this style, and or many things. And by the time, I felt like you thought you had a handle on it. You had that thing so clean, but you were really you'd captured the essence of Disturbed, which is a very specific sound.
It's very specific. I think you and I talked about this. Is that I wanted to represent their catalog, and this was their 25th anniversary, so it is going to be when they return to the stage very special.
Yes, definitely.
How do we make it special? Because it's really on my shoulders to help do that and help that happen. And so I want to get invested in it. The best way to get invested in it is start bringing somebody like yourself who I've listened to what you listen to.
Yes.
You're the perfect person for me to run my ideas. Yes, the lead singer, of course.
Well, of course.
But also the fans and how they go, oh my God, yeah, this is Disturbed, but it's on a whole nother level.
It's like Disturbed 2.0.
And that's what I reach for.
Yeah.
I when I get a project, I reach for something different. I'm not trying to put the Greg Price stamp on it.
Yeah.
Other than I'm trying to reach for something extraordinary.
Yeah.
And how do we get there with just audio?
Yeah, and I've noticed you're very mindful of not coming too close to kind of emulating other producer A1's sound.
Yeah.
That's a thought process for you, that you're very mindful of that. You brought me in a couple times to speak to if you were getting close to familiar styles. And
well, the classic thing is you get a job from a band, you get their CD, you put it up, and then you put your mix together and you put it up against their CD.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really like step one.
that's just, you've only just hung your coat up on the rack at that point.
Honestly, that's what it is.
That's right.
Okay, great. You made it sound like the record. Now what?
Yeah.
I remember when I first got delivery of the S6L from Avid.
Yes.
A wonderful man, Sheldon Radford. I don't know how to thank that fellow personally.
Why?
Well, because they were so supportive in me when the console was first developed.
I didn't know that.
So Sheldon comes and he did the same thing. I had him come and do exactly what you just did. And he walks in and he goes, great, now what are you going to do? Because it sounds like the record. And so that's a good lesson in where we take stuff. I'm relentless in this. Relentless. I don't want to give up until you walk in and say, or your people that called in and said, yeah, we sat through the whole Ozzfest, and then Greg shows up, and I don't know what happened, but oh my God.
Well, actually, that happened for me with in another tour that you did with the wonderful, amazing band Tool, who have had, as we know, and many people in our business know, they've had this certain sound that you could expect from Nobby, who's their longtime engineer.
Right.
For some reason or other, he turned up missing one season. They brought you in, and I've heard of this spoken of and experienced it myself. Nobby's kind of got the peel your face off vibe. You know, he likes to really hit the gas and come big. And not to say that you don't, but I remember the critiques of that tour were how defined and clean and big that you were able to make it big. But it was like a revelation for many Tool fans, that they had never heard Tool like this before, where they were making out every instrument, they were making out every lyric, but it was still, it was still hitting them. And
again, it's all about perception. And what another just amazing band. Again, those guys, they get up on stage and they take care of business.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, it's flawless. Okay.
There's sometimes I think they're maybe automatons. They're it's too mechanical. It's too perfect. You know, Danny back there just really great drums.
Probably
mix,
my all-time favorite drummer.
Yeah, right. He's
I
amazing.
have a few, but God, he just went straight to the top of the chart.
He's incredible.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
When I'm with Tool or any band, but more so with Tool because of their visual.
Yes.
Their show is very visual.
Very visual.
So what did I do? That vision of their show comes straight out to you. And I'm mixing 120 feet away. Well, that's almost at the back of the arena. So it is out with us, okay?
Right.
I want that audio to come right here with it.
Yes.
And that audio, it has to have the width, the height, the depth, we talked about it, of a band that is a very loud band.
Oh, goodness.
How do you do that? Well, you work your tail off at it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And so, again, I think you could understand that I really invest myself in the artists themselves. I am totally drinking the Kool-Aid, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I do it out of respect for the artist, but their fans.
Well, I know you are known for not having a problem with, you're not timid. And when you think the band needs to give you something or shut the hell up for a minute or whatever it may be, you tell them. And oftentimes they follow your instruction to a better outcome. And that's unique. You know, a lot of bands can't step to Tool, especially with Tool. Maynard presents certain challenges with the way he likes to have things done. How was your interaction with Maynard?
Fine.
It did well.
That guy.
Talk about smart. Right? Like a fucking genius.
Just aside from all that, an amazing singer. You might not think that, but what he is doing against the backdrop of that music is genius.
It's artistry.
Absolute genius.
I couldn't agree more. I think.
And for me, I was completely invested in the Maynard-dom of him and the texture of his voice. They wanted to keep it subtle. And sometimes on the record, you can barely, what is he saying?
That's right.
That's the genius in this thing. And plus, his voice, the quality of his voice lends itself to all of the things we love to do with phasing, with pitch change, with creating a sphere of Maynard that floats within the huge sound landscape of Tool.
Yeah.
It's
That's a good way to put it.
It's
the
genius.
Huge landscape, sound
It's
landscape.
genius, and what they do is special.
There's only one Tool.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do that.
Yeah, no, that's a great break, and I'm glad to hear that it went well.
Well, it's interesting to see both sides of it, where you share a lot of this utility belt kind of ideas, but you're always recreating yourself, every band, like you're saying. It's like such an interesting way when we talk about even critical listening or something, the way you go about it is very unique, I feel like.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, he's a chef in there cooking some of the best dishes.
Do you think you have anything to contribute in a respect to how you go about critical listening, or what you would think our audience should focus on to
That's
maybe
a really
make
good-
something epic?
Critical listening is very tough to do. And you have to pick the time to do it. Critical listening in a big arena can be a little problematic because of the reflections of the room, and if the audience is loud. And you saw Miley Cyrus on she was Hannah Montana at the time.
That's right.
There were times when the girls screaming for her, I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my ears rang more on her show than Poison.
Well, you know.
No, but look, let's be honest. Critical listening, that's something you develop. And it happens for each individual and how you do it, right? It's not just like a Betty Crocker recipe and we go, oh, critical listening? Oh, yeah, I put a little of this and I put that. I got it. No, it's not like that. So I think of all the questions that he's asked me so far, you can see how invested I am in every single artist individually. There's not one size fits all, and I don't homogenize from one artist to the next, to the next, to the next. It's almost like that bad golf swing. Yeah, I just left it at the tee. Now I'm on shot number 2, and I don't even remember what I just did on shot number 1.
Time
Now
to
I'm
start
going to hit
fresh.
my second shot, and God damn it, it's going in the hole. That's the way it is.
Well, you're well known for being the guy you call if you want it to go in the hole.
Well,
If you want it done right, like you said, you're kind of the guy they pull in.
I don't want that title, but okay.
I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to wear that mantle. I know you spend a lot of time with the Osbournes historically, based on your relationship with Black Sabbath. Of course, you're Ozzy Osbourne's engineer forever, and did
23 years.
Yeah, 23 years. You did 17 Ozzfest.
Yes.
Which, there was an evolution to that project. The
No
first
doubt.
one was not the same as the last one.
Exactly.
The growing pains with that.
There's an evolution in Mr. Osborne's career as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk about knowing how to reinvent himself. But go ahead. What's your question?
Well, I was curious about, as it related to the Ozzfest, what were the special challenges in the early days, and how was your relationship with Sharon Osbourne?
First of all, Sharon and Ozzy.
Yeah.
Well, they introduced me to my wife.
Okay, that's
We're so in love. I'm so in love with not only my wife, but the Osbournes. Mrs. Osbourne it doesn't get any better as far as I'm concerned.
If you somebody to have on your side,
She's
Sharon Osbourne.
Yes.
Yes, she's formidable. She's incredible. She's a genius in her own right, and the things
That's
she
right.
puts her mind to.
That's absolutely right.
And for throwing shows
Again,
as a promoter.
remember, 20-some years, those guys hired a kid. I didn't have the talent I had when I first walked into the first little arena in Austin, Texas to work for Ozzy that I do now.
Yeah.
They invested in me. They created the monster that I am. They gave me the undeniable license to steal, if you will. They gave me all of the creative license I could come up with on my own. And again, I wanted to keep reinventing along with their wish to reinvent and make things better, look better, sound better, present better, all of these things.
Yeah.
Because after all, it's show business. That's what we do.
That's exactly right. And she was always there to accommodate the
Mrs.
idea.
Osborne has been my partner in all of the crazy ideas I have ever had. She's been so willing to work with me on stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's really saying something because,
do you realize I would walk up and say, I want to record and mix the next record. That's coming from the front of house guy.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
And, no, thank you, Greg, but we got Rick Rubin over here. And
Right, sure.
but I got to do some of that work.
Yes, you did.
And I think I did a pretty damn good job.
Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. You're amazing, absolutely amazing. I know you have a lot of love for them. You got a moment, 17 years, Ozzfest, unique crowd, a very testosterone-driven festival.
Well, the
Favorite
Ozzfest,
moment?
as you know, was tough
Yes,
physically because the day started at 4 in the morning and it didn't end till maybe 2 in the morning that next day.
yeah,
Long hours in the heat of the summer.
mm-hmm.
Very difficult. A lot of people, you know, at least the minimum 7 bands on the main stage, maybe 9 or 12 bands on the second stage. It was really my endeavor with Mrs. Osborne to create a parody with every single artist that came on her show. Mm-hmm. And that meant parody audio-wise, that from the very first band at 9 a.m. on the second stage, they had to have as close to pristine audio that we could provide to my show all day long. Wow. So we both invested ourselves, and she's very good at convincing every band's management group, their engineers. You know, the last thing, you're engineering a band,
yeah,
and here I come.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to hurt. I know that's, you know, that takes diplomacy. Hello.
You have been known to be a little intimidating when you roll on a venue or a show site.
I've worked my whole life to not be. I want you to know that, and everybody
but
listening.
You don't have to tell me, I know that, and I can report to you that he's very humble, and he never likes to well, you know who I am. You don't play that card. But at this point,
intimidation in this day and age doesn't work. It never worked, to just be honest with you.
Yeah.
I want to grow. I still want to grow at this stage. I want to see everybody else around me grow, and I want to help people grow. So, no, intimidation's not part of the conversation.
Well, that is a rare bird. You know that. You know I'm right about this.
I hope I answered your question.
You basically did. Is there a difference in your process when it comes to, you know, you're known for largely mixing a lot of hard rock bands,
yeah,
super big hard rock bands, but I know you've also mixed TLC, Seal, Don Henley, Huey. Is there a difference in the process when you come to a project like that than it is with the harder bands? Do you have a preference of working with one type or the other?
Well, when I started, especially with Mr. Dowd, I really wanted to be an R&B mixer and really mix those R&B bands with horns and this great sort of lush thing going on. But I think it was Kiss. I did Kiss, and people goes, hey, that's the first time I ever saw Kiss and I could actually hear them singing.
Yeah.
And so the gloves came off, and I pretty much did metal for the rest of my career, which is fine. I'm not complaining. It's not. I think at this point, I relish all music. There is a specific challenge to getting Tool up to that essence,
yeah,
and that power, and it's not peeling your face off, and it's surrounding you.
Enveloping.
You're enveloped by it. You're bathing in it.
That's right.
That is very exciting for me. So, I probably will never go back to our R&B. But no, there's nothing wrong with R&B. I guess if James Brown was still alive, I would die to mix his show.
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah, he was the king. He was the badass.
So it's like that.
So there is basically no process shift in having, when you kind of...
The only process, I remember Huey telling me one day, he goes, you know, I know where you just came from. Dude, you got to turn it down. Or take the edge off, one of the two.
Right, something.
Yeah, I mean, it's only natural. That's only natural that you come from 6 months of this
Yeah.
to his entire band on stage singing on one mic a cappella.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's make it, it only took me one show for him to throw cold water on me to realize I had just stepped off the boat just long enough to not be totally invested in Huey Lewis and his music,
Yeah.
and his vibe. And so once he set me straight,
Like just clean.
oh, we had shows where I get good reviews.
The back to Tool. So again, Nobby, known. He's notorious or known, very well known for his sound.
Let me just say this about Nobby.
But
He's a great engineer,
He is.
and not everybody can do what he does. It's a very special talent.
So I'm doing the research on this, and of course, Tool was out right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right up into it.
Sure.
They had a tour. They should have been still probably even going now.
I think they'd still be touring
I
right
think you're right. Yeah, and I think you left kind of a footprint, a sound print, we'll call it, that the band liked, because Nobby's the critique, the word on the street coming back is the mix is much more opposed to the Nobby traditional, come hard and loud.
Right.
They reeled it in a little bit, and they were very mindful in this last tour.
Sure.
I think that.
Well,
that
we're
was a
second guessing
byproduct
that.
of
But
you.
we're second guessing that, but let's not forget that from the last time Tool toured with me, I did make a technology change on their tour.
Which was?
Different PA, different console, different stuff, different audio setup. Now, like we talked about Diablo Digital, the technology train does not stop. Look what you've got behind you.
Yeah, impressive stuff.
These are genius built speaker systems.
Bernie Broderick.
That's right. And so my point is that from the last time Tool played to now on their tour, Nobby and the technology of their show has probably changed slightly. I'm not really sure about it, but I'm sure it has, because it's changed for everyone.
That's right.
Speaker systems keep coming out, and they get better, and they get better, and they get better. Consoles keep being made by all the major manufacturers, and they're getting really close to beyond amazing, okay?
Yeah.
So when you put that all together, then you get what you're reading about Mr. Nobby.
Yeah, yeah. That's
He's a great engineer.
he is. He
And
is.
let's not forget, he's mixed Tool for multiple decades.
Yes, I mean that
says
Tool,
something,
Nobby,
yes.
Tool, Nobby. They kind of
It's
goes
awesome.
together.
That is
and,
awesome.
And I've never seen his shows more well reviewed than this last tour.
Well, that's great. It's great to hear. But I think he does exactly what I do, and that's he's absorbing the environment with audio from Tool.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he has a great saying. It's called transmitted by sub-bass, transmission by sub-bass.
sub-bass.
So what does that mean? That means he's aware of bringing the artist and their sound out into the room in this three-dimensional way, and we're headed for it with object audio, immersive audio, whatever you want to call it.
Adaptive audio. Yeah.
Adaptive audio.
Sure. Talk to me about, so I find it unique in your stance and philosophy with sharing your skills, sharing your knowledge, and the importance of continued training. And basically constantly updating your skill set. You avail yourself, your gear, your time, and your philosophy to many of my young Sound Images young A1s or folks trying to get there.
Sure.
And what's the thing?
Soundgirl.org.
Right, and they would have been in here except for the COVID to kind of pump the brakes on that. But you had a thing going on with them.
That's correct.
To offer up some of your philosophy and mixing knowledge.
Sure.
What is the thing? What is your elevator speech on that? If I was to come to you and say, so I know you train and you got some great gear. Why should I come in and do this with you?
Ooh, good question as to why.
You don't think his bands that he's done
I know
speak
why.
for
I
itself.
want to tell somebody who
Rude.
doesn't know. You co-host.
I think the best thing I could say is that together, I think no matter what level engineer you are and producer, but together in a collaborative way, we can reach higher ground. Not only that, but I get a great sense of, look, I don't know everything, so I'm continually learning. And it's a two-way street. It's wonderful to get Kyle. We were talking about a process the other day, and actually, I did not know the right answer.
Yeah.
So he brought something to me that really made me think, you know what, I'm going to research that. So it's a two-way street. It's a collaborative way of us reaching higher levels of engineering.
It's precious. It's a rare thing to find, and
Well,
it's
sharing.
Bradley does it.
Look,
Bobby does it. Robert.
did
does
you
it.
play marbles when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Did you share your marbles?
I don't remember.
Those were my marbles.
I might not have.
Well, look,
I might not have. don't know.
I get a certain amount of joy out of sharing. It's very soul,
It's satisfying. You get it
very
satisfying.
satisfying.
Yeah, because
Especially when we can get on a topic of a part of a mix that somebody has been working on their whole lives and they just can't get over the fence. And all of a sudden, we're standing on the other side of the fence, and they're looking back at themselves, and they're going, my God, that is good. God, that feels good.
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Sometimes you should see the kids come in here, because I supervise the training, and they'll come in sometimes a little frightened, a little intimidated by the technology, and then of course, who may be in the room once in a while when you and Brad are running around, and
Right.
and Kyle Anderson, or even the kid over here who's pretty sharp. He stumped.
He's very sharp. Very sharp.
Brad on something the other day.
No.
too, and I love seeing that.
He's really sharp.
It goes to that point where both of us are learning. You can learn from some of these things.
That's right.
And that's kind of a wonderful moment.
Well, but let's think about it this way.
Tell me.
All of these platforms, whether it's a Digico, an Avid console, a Yamaha console, an Allen Heath, I don't care what you're mixing on. They are very sophisticated pieces of equipment.
Well, that's right.
In the music industry and mixing, there are no boundaries to what we do. So it's great to be working with a sharp mind like that, because he's coming up with thought processes and processes of his workflow that may be slightly different, but they're good for him. But we all can learn from that. It doesn't mean the level part there's no levels.
Well, there's many ways to skin a cat, it turns out.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so these consoles that are being manufactured, what do you think they're going to stop writing code and software for them? No. They're going to continue to put creature features and things that we can do and new things in them to get us to fly even higher than we already are flying. We need to endeavor ourselves and invest ourselves in getting an understanding of that. We need the Robert Scovilles of this world to show us what is new, what is exciting, how these things are potential players in our workflow going forward as engineers.
I couldn't agree more. We've had many hanging out by the campfire talks through the years, and one that's come up on a couple occasions for me was with you that I think is a kind of a special zone that you inhibit and are mindful of, and think other people should be as aware of this, and that is what professional roadies, crews should be doing differently when it comes to how they handle their money and their investments for their future. You have a very specific, this might be something, maybe this is too in-depth, this might be we bring you in on a show.
Well, this is a
just
very deep
about
subject,
this.
and it's so poignant for now.
Yeah, oh boy, right?
You said two things
Yes.
that really spark.
Get your juices going.
That's right.
Yeah, which were they?
First thing is Roadie.
Roadie.
We're not roadies.
I am.
Okay, we're roadies, but these are people, some people making six figures for God's sake. Okay, if you want to give them the title roadie, then please go ahead. But this is an honest to God, bona fide career.
Absolutely.
Our industry before COVID was rather robust.
It was, yeah.
Okay, so,
$38 billion industry.
right. Okay, yes, we go on tour, and it's like we're in a bubble, and you have no responsibilities, and you spend all the money you make, and then after 20 years of being on tour, you're broke, right?
It's a very common story.
Right. So remember two things. You talk about money, and you talked about roadie. So my father was a stockbroker, and he called me a roadie one day, and I'll tell you what.
You didn't like it.
I not only didn't like it, but I took offense to it. And I was going to prove not only to my father, but to the world that don't play here in my little town, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
And I went about my own business to take care of myself, because nobody's going to do that, and to learn about finance, because my father is a stockbroker, so I can learn from him. I can feed off of him and his knowledge as to how I build my own financial freedom. And this is what we're talking about.
That's it.
Because when you build financial freedom, then you can pontificate all night long like I have about bands and this and that. Because I have 1,000% freedom, personal freedom, to do what I want, when I want, any time I want. I don't have to go and do this. Now, it wasn't always like that,
Sure.
but there are 6 rules, and we're going to save this for another.
Okay.
There are 6 arch rules that touring people have to follow. Remember, we're unemployed every 6 months.
That's right, more or less, give or take.
So there's rule number 1, and you can get an idea of what you have to do to take care of your unemployment every 6 months and not try to be at the mercy of the government and unemployment insurance.
Couldn't agree with you.
No, you take care of it on your own. And when you do that, you start walking a little lighter, and you start thinking a little different. And you're not worried about making your house payment. And you're not worried about putting food on the table for your family. Those are all, when I've had my child, my first son, scared to death.
Oh, I bet.
I hounded your brother and every sound company in this world to keep me employed every day of that year he was born.
Wow.
Because it scared me that I wasn't going to be able to be providing.
Yeah, and up till that point, you weren't handling your money
So no,
in a way like that long term.
just like the process of engineering that we've gone through with Mr. Kyle over there,
Mr. Thomas, yeah.
the financial side of this is a very serious topic, and it's nobody's going to do it for you. And
Yes.
we've already seen time after time after time people getting taken advantage of.
I think this is a subject because it's fascinating, and guys out there, it really is important. And this man is a living proof that it can be done another way, to where you really are though. And the freedom that you're talking about is priceless.
Having personal freedom,
That is
when you're an artist or
regaining all your internal peace because you have that. That's something very special.
your mind is cut free.
Yes, it's one less thing. It's one big less thing.
Now, let's face it, I've worked 40-some years for this, okay?
Certainly.
This shit doesn't happen over... Can I say that word here?
Fuck no, don't cuss on this fucking show. Didn't you talk to him about the fucking cussing?
Well,
I
anyway,
think
look,
not.
Naughty.
I've shared this with so many of my touring brothers on tour, it's not even funny.
Would you consider us putting together between ourselves a little, maybe a 30-minute thing we do, isn't it?
I would love to.
And we just have as a special
And,
edition.
not just for me,
finances.
there's...
Roadie finances.
Right, roadie finances. you know, I'm not the only one, and now is very, very difficult.
Oh,
Come on.
sure.
Some people, you know, I worry that some people may never return to our industry.
I'm convinced that that's the case.
It's a natural
convinced.
thing.
Yeah.
There is a natural, organic evolution to all of this.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see how that little bugger plays
Yet
out.
to play out, but I have a feeling when we all come together again and we're going, you know,
Yes.
full tilt,
Yes.
I think there's going to be some conspicuous absences.
Well, and don't forget, there are so many extraordinary minds within our
That's right.
our community that
They could have peeled off and
Something-
went into
yes.
the IT industry.
Of course, we're going to go back to the model of touring the way it was someday.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many extraordinary things that can come out of this that I can't wait to see them. Can't wait.
I'm very curious to see.
I'm very curious,
how
yeah.
what that's going to look like. Because of your unique niche that you occupy with Diablo Digital and your amazing Rolodex, what do you think the future of live streaming is as it relates to live performances, and where does Diablo Digital stand on that? Are you guys going to jump in and
Yes,
offer
so great question. Live presentation
Yes,
of
sir.
music and artists and their story,
Mm-hmm.
either on the internet or on the TV or in a documentary state and all of that. Yeah, it's only about time, thank you,
Yeah.
that this stuff start coming around so that people can really understand why. I mean, he's gone, but Johnny Cash wrote I Hurt Myself.
Yeah.
He can't tell us maybe he talked about what he was thinking with that song.
Are you talking about the song Hurt?
Yes.
That's actually Trent Reznor's song.
So Trent wrote it,
Yeah.
but Johnny did it in
Oh, man,
such a way
it
that
was crushing.
it's like coming from his soul.
Oh, it was a perfect fit for what he experienced.
You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's stories like this
Yeah.
that's what streaming is going to give us. And honestly, I believe that there'll be room for both.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really do. I think once and for all, we talked about this yesterday, the wonderful opportunity for an artist to be writing a new song in his or her studio at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're in the studio making the song. Now they're in the rehearsal room running the song down with their band. The next thing they know, they're across the street at the Chase Arena playing for 25,000 or however many people we're going to be allowed.
Sure.
That progression of what happened to that artist, I would be the first person in line to hear it and see it, and why.
Well, that's where streaming kind of allows for that.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and
So I know people have been doing this already,
that's true.
but I think I'm hoping that the floodgates and this sort of maybe uniqueness and closeness brings us closer and closer to our very special artists
Yeah,
in the world.
that's really true. So I think there will be, if I hear you right, even if tomorrow touring as we know it and understand it came back, I think the streaming model would still kind of run
Sure.
almost in a shadow, kind of side by side. I don't think it's going to go away like that. I think it's going
Well,
to
for
be
Diablo Digital, we talk about this every day.
Yeah.
We're looking for solutions every single day
That's
to
right.
not only address the streaming component to this that you and I just talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and how do we provide a cost-effective way for artists to do this for themselves,
Yeah,
to the worldwide distribution of digital content of artists all over the world.
that's right.
I mean, my God, it's staggering.
There's some amazing possibilities.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. One last quick question. What do you think the special chemistry that I see going on between you and Brad Maddox that allows you to be in business together? Is it because you're very different people?
Yeah.
But there's something of it's almost the yin and yang there, and it's a whole, and you guys can work that angle. What's going on there with that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's the best of all worlds.
It kind of is.
First of all, if you understand my relationship with what I've said about every one of these artists,
Yes.
all extreme special people with me. But my best friend was my dad who passed away and my wife, not these artists. Brad Maddox, a good friend, but he's not my best friend. He's my business partner. And together, we bring enough to the table in a separate way to create something very special. And that, and it's all aspects. It's in all aspects of what you've asked me today, from finance and keeping a company afloat during extreme pressure and hard times, to the floodgates are going to open when bands start. How do we prepare for that? To streaming, what is our response for streaming at Diablo Digital, and what kind of a product did we 2 years ago had already provided what we called YouTube preemptive product for artists to make and produce and distribute their own YouTube on their own tour by themselves with their own touring staff.
Completely DIY.
Yes. So they didn't need to be totally subjected to in the moment by a fan that took a picture of something standing in front of the sub bass cabinet and all you can hear is the kick drum and not the lead singer. No, not that.
Yeah.
No, a very well put together version of their favorite song.
Well, it allows them to control their content and the quality of that content.
Well, or bring the experience to a higher level.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much about control, about trying to reach higher ground in what we do and differentiate ourselves with what we do.
Understood. Good answer. What? Tell me what.
So Brad, it's very special.
He is.
He
He's kind of a one-of-a-kind dude.
arch enemy back in the day, engineer
I'm not
against.
surprised even
You
a
know,
little.
engineers on the Ozzfest are like 6-gun shooters.
Oh, no doubt
Just like
about it.
shootout at the OK Corral, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And Brad wouldn't come with a 6-gun. He came with a
Cannon.
bazooka.
Yeah, he's a cannon guy.
That guy was dangerous on your tour.
That's our little Brad. That's right. Yeah.
He would be
You're all
dangerous. It's like, oh, shit, here comes Brad.
fine. Yeah.
But love him to death.
Incredibly
think
talented, smart
He's
guy.
extraordinarily talented. Plus, together, I think we come up with some pretty interesting ideas.
You guys together are formidable. I mean, it really,
It's a lot of fun.
I'm glad.
Again, if you don't have fun at what you're doing and you're not passionate about it, you're not gonna
Yeah, get out of there.
you're not gonna have a nice day.
You're not wrong. Listen, you've been doing this for what, 43? We just decided 43, almost 44.
Let's just say my whole life.
Yeah, because he's only 46, ladies and gentlemen. So he's been doing this for mostly his whole life. And, you know, it's been weird times. We got this election coming up. We got the pandemic out there. The state of California, which we live in, is on
We're
fire.
burning up.
It's
So
on
we
fire.
burn up every year. But
Yeah,
so
yeah, but this,
this
seems extreme, though. This seems a
I
little...
was telling
more than-
Kyle, all we need is a 12.0 just
Yeah.
to knock everybody down off
Just
their feet. And
settle this for once
A little
and for all.
Sharknado action or something will
Just
look
sweep
real
the
good.
Table, you know?
I don't think it'll ever be 3 strikes you're out in the good old state of California. But
We're resilient.
we're taking it on the chin right now. But
Yeah.
what's your question?
What do you think the future holds for live music coming back? When's it coming back? I need a date, a time, and which band are you going to be mixing for?
So, really, I have no crystal ball.
Oh,
Tough question.
you can
really.
borrow the Magic 8 Ball. if
We
you like.
could run the 8 ball a couple of times and see if it gives a better answer than I do.
We'll
Look.
do that. Once you answer, we'll shake that thing and we'll
Let's
see.
do it.
Is Gregory correct?
I don't think there's anybody else. There probably is some more people in the world that want to see this better more than I do. But yeah, we all want to see it. I think the people that are suffering the most are the musicians.
The artists.
The
Yeah.
artists are this is the blood that they need to live with.
Yeah.
It's that interaction of being on stage and looking out and touching that emotion. And so it's tough, but it's going to come back.
It will. I agree.
The face of it and the way it's done, it's going to take some time. I think
right,
we all
let's
know
see.
that by now.
Let's see.
Is it going to take some time?
Signs point to no.
So there you go.
Maybe it'll come back for us.
Yeah, it's coming back. Well, listen, I could sit here and talk to you. I really, literally could sit here and talk to you all night.
Well, I hope they
Pleasure.
answered it. Did I get through the whole question, Bob?
You only missed the one. You only got the only.
We're done. We're out of
We
That's
got
like-
some
it's like
questions
an A
on our
minus.
feed here.
Uh-oh. Hang on. Let's take a look.
see. Let's see. Charlie Saricki says hello.
Hey, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
We also got Michael Frowley says hello.
Mikey.
Definitely are a character. He calls you a character. Patrick, thank you for chiming in. You said hello.
Good evening.
Jamie Walton, thank you.
No questions?
No question. Okay, so Pooch says hello too.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Pooch.
Pooch.
Very
Penny,
good.
we're going to get you over here.
Pooch needs to come here.
I need
He
Pooch.
does, yeah.
And if you can
Another-
drag Cater with you, that would be lovely.
Just an extraordinary engineer.
Extraordinary guy.
Yes.
And he's got one of the sweetest spots in the
Oh,
in the
oh
business.
my God, that guy's-
out front for Iron Maiden is the get of jobs.
That's right.
I mean, jam.
That's right.
Driving around on, just Air Force Ed, awesome. Very good. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a guest. We love you. And if there's anytime,
Anytime.
Thanks for
always
being here,
join
man.
forces.
Anytime, Vincent.
Very exciting. You have a great night. Thank
Oh,
you.
one other spin-off, the pocket references. If you guys want a pocket reference, send us your shipping information. We'll send you one.
We have 10 to give away to the first 10 people. These things get you out of trouble every single time. The amount of information stuffed into this little book,
It's awesome.
it's ridiculous. Like, seriously.
Oh, they're so fun.
Totally awesome.
This is almost as important as your Leatherman or your gaff or your
Yeah.
trick line. It's just a thing that it covers so many bases. We'd love to. Charlie sent them to us again. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, we got another book here from Travis Strain sent it to us. It's the Rock Bible. This is another pretty good one. Super funny read. It's literally just like page to page like a Bible.
Yeah,
But totally ripping on our industry. So thank you very much, Travis.
And Travis, help remind me. Travis is out with Little Baby or
The Baby.
Baby. Which one of the babies is he out with?
Duh, baby.
He's with the Dub Baby. All right,
Whenever
well, I
they
guess
come
that's
back.
some big deal in the rap music, and he's out with the rap kids. But we wanted to thank Travis. Thank you, Travis. You're a good man.
Thank you, buddy.
And I hope that all that goes well and you keep him busy. Other than that, we had a wonderful night. This is special stuff for me. I can't tell you. I get to enjoy this man on the regular, but it's not often that we have the time to sit down and really dig in and reach around in that much wisdom and wealth of knowledge. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
on the
so
show. We appreciate it.
Thank
Next
you.
week we have a true brother, a friend of the show, a sweet, just a fucking cool guy, John Fukushima. Fuki we call him Fuki. You might want to call him Mr. Fukushima. He's 44-year patch member of the Hells Angels. He's a member of the IATSE 16 in good standing. One of the best videographers in the world. That's not hyperbole. That's the truth. He does all the Coachella work, Rolling Stones, No Doubt, Paul McCartney. He's got a lot of good stories. He's a great guy. He's going to be our guest next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. We sure hope you tune in and check us out. I can't do this show by myself. I do it with the help of a lot of good people. First of all, our good friend behind the scenes is Mikey Brown. Mikey Brown handles everything. He's a legend. He's a badass. And thank you, Mike. We really, really appreciate you.
Thanks, Mikey.
We couldn't do it without the help of the good people at Diablo Digital. They routinely help supply us this Heil PR40. Greg's idea. And so thank you, Greg and Brad at Diablo Digital. And of course, I couldn't do it with the space I use is Sound Image Property. And that's under the permission of George Edwards, our general manager. We really appreciate it. Thank you, George. And then, of course, our CEO,
Thank you.
the legend, the man, the myth. He is rock and roll. It's Dave Shadone. Thank you, Dave Shadone, CEO of Southern California
Thanks, Dave.
Sound Image. We love the guy, and we couldn't do it without him. As it relates to our business partners and friends, LSV, they provide our cameras, which we're currently in. And this is Cameron Brown and the late John Rigney, and of course all the boys over there. Thank you, Large Screen Video, for all your support and helping us realize our vision. We're in the process. We just picked up, I don't know, $1 million worth of camera gear and capture devices, and
We're going to make John proud with that stuff.
yeah, John is gonna. He'll be very pleased to see the direction. So next time you see us, we're gonna be in a slightly different, I think, different look, more or less the same stage and setup, but with some new gear capturing it. So thank you, LSV, very much. And of course, the good people over at slowfiber.com, they provide us with our masks, our specialty masks they build for us, so our guys at our different shops can work safely together. We really appreciate them. They do great work. If you need something along those lines, go to slowfiber.com. They'll take good care of you. I guess that's pretty much it. I want to thank Alan Pettibone. We just call him P-Bone around here, for doing the lighting. We really appreciate it, Alan. You do a great job. Otherwise, we hope that you've enjoyed the show. If so, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and subscribe. Is that the process over at Instagram?
Same thing, yeah.
Same, like to follow, subscribe.
Follow us.
Do that for it. It really helps us
Like
out,
some
get the
pictures.
numbers. Yeah, and we'll keep providing more content. Until next week, take good care of yourself, be kind to each other, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.